Hey, everybody. I was just thinking it'd be really nice if this browser extension for my music that I use to lower its volume could actually remember the lowered volume choice that I chose, and then I see that actually it does have a remember setting, so that's very exciting. Um, hey, everybody. Probably a pretty short stream today. I was pretty social, getting a lot of other things done. But we do have a little bit of a fun quest to do. So following up again, we're in our 2026 weekly build series. The idea is going through about 22 weeks and really just knocking out kind of a huge number of different builds ranging from medium to large that we needed to kind of get through. Couple of cool things that have happened since last week. So let's see. Let's go straight over to our POV with Ariel, which would look like that. There we go. So if you look over here, we did keep working on the I'll turn this off for the glare. We did keep working on the space station, space roller coaster. And I was actually able to make a slight adjustment that made this angle very smooth. We showed on Instagram all three of the cars going through there. It's such a tiny adjustment that I don't think it's really worth putting on, like updating the rebrickable instructions again. We know that somebody gave us the basic concept and we followed that, and we're grateful for that for sure. But we were able to sort of finish it off. Now, something that always annoys me when I'm trying to keep all the parts to a set together is, of course, there were a bunch of little pieces left over in this build. I was able to build a sort of barge here and put those pieces in, which actually, as much as it's a mishmash build, for where we're actually placing this set in the city is going to work really, really well to have sort of a shipping barge, a little flat garbage barge nearby. When we did the final measurements, let me show something super neat here. I've been talking about ordering a stud measure. This is not a sponsored video, but I did actually order this Lego stud measure from the company that makes them. This was about $30, I think. It's something I've always thought would be useful to have. One, it's useful to be able to measure bricks sideways like this, but even more so measuring vertical bricks this way, bricks and plates, which is something that's a lot harder to just pick up. Whenever I need to measure sideways, I can always just pick up a long plate, right? Like a 2x16, and I can sort of make it work. But whenever I need to actually measure vertically, I have to actually grab a bunch of bricks and make a stack. So we did use this stud measure, and we were able to conclude that the build profile, and this is all relevant to what we're doing today, the build profile for this roller coaster that we talked at length about last week is actually pretty condensed. It's only 32 wide, which we expected, and it's actually only 32 plus 24 deep, pretty much to the stud, which is really, really convenient for us because it means that unlike what we had to do with the pirate roller coaster, this one's not extending deep into the ocean. It's only going as far as the end of the beach in my city display. Speaking of the beach and the boardwalk and the ocean and things, so the sets that we're going to work on today are pretty small. We're pretty small in scope here. But I keep talking about the pipeline that I'm using to try to clear out and get the Lego City really back to its fullest here. And that some of the other important parts of that pipeline are not only building the set, but also ordering the pieces and then placing the pieces and then getting them into the city. So last week was a great week. I did, in fact, order the pieces for the Viking Village and then for the Space Roller Coaster. And they did, in fact, arrive, the pieces for the Viking Village. So that was a real treat. But ordering the pieces for the Space Roller Coaster means that I was sitting there thinking once again for the first time in a year and a half or 2 years about the way that my boardwalk is constructed. And I learned something really awesome. Let's see if I have any of those parts on hand. So I have some standardized parts that I use to make Lego water, beaches, boardwalk. You start to see some dark tan coming through here. I've got 16 by 16 and 8 by 16 sand tiles that are used for both the beach and the boardwalk. And I learned something great, which is that I have a list that shows me all the parts that I use to make any one standard section 16 wide of beach or of boardwalk. And of all those parts, every single one of them is a Lego bestseller, which means it can get to me in a matter of like less than 5 business days, except with 2 exceptions. First exception, and this is very important. Let's see if I can actually find one. I cannot actually find one. The first exception is the actual road plate piece, the 8x16 dark tan road plate piece that I use at the very front edge of my boardwalk, which sucks because that is not a bestseller part. So 1, I had to order more of them, and 2, they're going to take a month to get here. Although Lego's been pretty quick as the last, let's see, how long was it since I moved into this place? The last 4-ish months or so on. So I've been very impressed with the speed of parts coming from Denmark, but we'll see, folks. We'll see. Let's go back to talking it out over here. Is it look at me? No, it's talk off cam. There we go. So we'll see what how quickly those come through. But the point is, since I was already thinking about the boardwalk, I went and I just realized how incredibly easy it is for me to order all the pieces that I use in the boardwalk right now. I went into my supply deeper than just the 22 streams that I had planned for the rest of this year. And I said, let's grab everything else that's a boardwalk set. Or maybe it's not everything else, but there were at least a couple of little sets. I should really go check if there was anything else. But for little sets, I had 3 of them that they're not Friday builds. They're not easy build. Well, they are easy builds, but they're not like no parts builds. So I was going to get to them, but probably not until early 2027. And I said, clear the plate, unfurl the maps. We're actually going to build these. So without further ado, one of them is this Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy's Fairground. We talked about this last week. I went back and forth on how exactly I intended to incorporate this into the boardwalk, whether I was going to make a little Disney advertisement or something. I'm still very on the fence about this, but I do know I want to keep the set. I do want this Goofy, Mickey, and Minnie minifigures. And I also have Pluto arriving in the mail. Rare minifigure Pluto. That's number 3. We'll do that one last. Number 2, this was a gift with purchase, or perhaps an extra, like when you get like a extra set that you can buy with points on Lego. This is 4714, the Carousel Ride. You can already see this is going to fit very neatly on a single 16x16 plate. So we're going to have a lot of use for that. That's going to be a really easy one. And then the first one we're going to do today is this. This is the Lego Friends Bumper Cars and Amusement Park Swing. So let's see if we can find that by searching bumper cars, and we immediately find this is a 2016 Lego set from the Lego Friends Amusement Park line. It retailed for just $40. Now it costs $19 to get a used copy, and it was limited retail, which means it did not go on Amazon.com, but this was 10 years ago. The rules were a little different then. And the part count is just 424. So under normal conditions, that would take us about 30 minutes to build. I think this set is actually mostly built already. So let's pop open the instructions and let's get this done. And then as we do so, we'll be able to quickly verify that this isn't going to take up too much of our amusement park space. So here in the top right, let's get over to POV with aerial or aerial with POV. And you can see in the top right here that let's see, we're good over here, we're good over here, let's check over here that this is good over here. Great. You can see in the top right here that this set has 2 16x16 base plates, which is a little bit of a challenge for us. But when we look at what appears to be that build in the top right there, the actual amusement park swing, and this is kind of a fun fair swing, so we'll come back to that. The actual intensity of the build there appears to be maybe only 8x16 wide. So we're going to have a little bit of a puzzle here, but I think we'll be able to make it work out with this small set. So let's get this loaded up, get this onto the page fit, and let's see what we got here. There's also a couple of side builds for this set, I know, because as I've had, this has probably never been opened since it was originally shipped to me on, looks like this was probably an eBay purchase at some point. Probably at the end of 2023, when I more or less went through the overwhelming majority of my Lego wants list and kind of ordered an awful lot of whatever I might want that I didn't yet have. So let's get this laid out. But like I said, we're going to find pretty quickly that this set is going to be largely kind of in a state of semi-builtness. I also think that I saw a swab of cotton candy that was laying around somewhere that may have fallen itself out of this totally destroyed but clean plastic bag. So let me go find that stick of cotton candy before we get any farther here, and we'll whip this out. And I was successful in locating that little stick of cotton candy. I'd have to think about whether there's anywhere else in the city that's selling cotton candy for me. Let's look at the tags back over here on Brickset. And we don't have a tag for cotton candy. But we could be a little clever here if we wanted to just do some learning. And I like doing this on stream for you guys where we kind of, just learn about what's been out there over, 40 years of Lego sets that are, 30 years of Lego sets that are sort of represented in my collection. So let's search Lego sets that include cotton candy. Actually, I want to say there may have been a more recent Lego Friends set. Yeah, is it this cotton candy stand and scooter? Yes, I own this set, and I vaguely recall building this set. And this was released in 2025, so this was probably something... Actually, this was a little quick Friday build. I sort of vaguely remember doing this pretty recently. So, cotton candy stand, we have a much earlier iteration of that cotton candy stand here in set 41133. So, let's see what they've got for us today. So first, of course, we're going to go ahead and just put together these mini dolls here, who are looking like they've been in the bag for a very long time. This is a gentleman. He's wearing some nice, these kind of look like capri pants to me. I think we can stick like so. And then this young lady is wearing a nice little mini skirt or skirt. And we're building all of the side builds first here. Starting with this cotton candy stand, which is totally destroyed in the bag, but no harm done. When you're only looking at 400 pieces, it's going to be pretty quick to do any of this. You might recall, so often whenever we have these builds that I bought late to the game because I was not purchasing Lego in 2016. I was about to begin purchasing Lego again with the release of the Lego Minecraft theme and the Star Wars Gozanti class cruiser, which is still one of my favorite Lego sets of all time, but I was not quite back there yet at that time. So most of these sets that we get from eBay are going to be sort of in this state of disrepair. Now, the stickers were applied, I'd give it like a 5.5 out of 10, which is not excellent, but not enough to keep me up at night, especially with such a cheap set. And then we start to have these sticks of cotton candy. So that was a pink one. Here's the other pink one that we had just gone and retrieved. And then I guess there's hypothetically a white one here. So we get this white one. Put this up there as well. And that's probably our entire build. So again, our cotton candy stand has come kind of a long way with the build that was released in 2025. But I will say, this cotton candy build is this one is in our Boardwalk, and the other cotton candy build is in our city. It's more of a food truck. I can also see that this set got a little dusty, and we have some discoloration. I don't know if you guys can see this very clearly with the glare, but this is the original color of the lavender used in the set, and it looks like it's at least slightly got some sun discoloration up here. So this set might have been standing on a shelf for a while. Maybe some young girl Lego fan was able to pick this up and enjoyed this for a while. But also I should have some canned air around here, but it's also going to make me be like, which is no fun for anybody. So I'm going to guess that this goes this way. But looks like this set was more displayed than played with, which is, is fine. Now, I don't see much significant sun discoloration on any of the yellow pieces, or the white pieces, which is nice. You always kind of wonder, nor on the bluish gray pieces. So I guess in general, it's all pretty much fine. And I guessed incorrectly, but that's okay. We'll just fix that right up. Put this like so. Put this like so. And this is a ticket booth. Now, speaking of ticket booths, as I have been slowly returning, as I've been very beach-oriented, beach-themed in my building for the last couple of weeks, actually, technically, all of the sets that we've built in the weekly builds so far, this is what, week 3, have been vaguely themed according to the water, which is kind of neat. But as I've been thinking about that, oh, is this a printed piece? I think this little ticket is a printed piece, which is really a pity because it means I could have had extras of those, which is a great extra piece for our minifigures to be carrying around. But I don't think the extra pieces survived being on display with this set, unfortunately. Everything we've been doing has been a bit water-themed. And because of that, I went back and I once again took a look at, I started doing some thinking about the, I can never remember the name of that set, the yellow fort, it's not Fort, I want to say Fort Legorado, but that's the cowboy one. I'm talking about the pirate one that was re-released after being originally a set from the 80s or early 90s that we have the re-release of, that we really enjoyed building on the channel. But anyway, I was sitting there thinking about it again and saying, how exactly are we going to incorporate this in? I know that I want it to be one end or the other of the Lego Beach and Boardwalk, but it's going to be a set that actually starts at the edge of the beach. So that entire fort is actually going to poke out into the water, which is a little different than most of the other sets that we're talking about. In fact, the only other set we've talked about in the entire collection of all the things on the beach or on the boardwalk, the only other one that actually goes all the way forward into the water is, as we mentioned, the pirate roller coaster. So I have to ask that question of how exactly do I want to do that with the yellow fort, the British Army fort. And we've also mentioned that in around November, I should be getting charged for it any day now, Lego will ship to me Coconut Cape, which is sort of an extension, a sort of like additional castle wall and church related to that yellow British fort. And I'm very excited to incorporate that, which is also why I haven't finalized that set. I want to put the two of them together. You guys know I love combining sets. Drink some water today. Once again, incorrectly guessed the orientation of this particular item, but that's okay. No harm done. It's all a pretty quick build set. And then we have a nice carnival icon here with sort of like neon lights and a crown or something. It appears to be a bumper cars sticker. It's a sticker advertising that this is a bumper cars location, which is applied a little bit crookedly, but again, on the New Jersey Boardwalk, that's okay. They got a lot of crookedness up there. Let's put this back here. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, what I was saying about the British fortress type of thing is just that, what was I saying about that? That if that set is, again, so think of it like this, and actually this is a fairly good representation. So this long, that's the boardwalk. That's the boardwalk. So we have a boardwalk road plate, and then the remaining 24 studs of the boardwalk. And then you have another, what just dropped there? Something just dropped there. Little tiny piece. And then you have another 32 wide that is the beach, and finally ending in the beginning of the actual coast, and that the fortress doesn't start until it gets to about here. So what am I doing with all this beach space in front of the fortress and then all this boardwalk space in front of the fortress? Well, that's a great question. And the answer is, I've been really inspired as I bend down and find this, what do you call it? Lego piece that dropped. I've been really inspired by, is it the Fort of San Juan in Puerto Rico? Where, you have basically a ticket counter. Hey, we just built a ticket counter. And then you have, instead of beach like you have on the rest of that area, you have this beautiful little grassy, curated area that goes down all the way to all the way to the fort. So what I think, I think I have an idea, and I actually think I'm just about ready to go ahead and order the landscaping, let's call it, for that British fortress, which I think is going to be pretty cool. Um, I think that'll be neat. So this is a flimsy little bumper car build. These things would be flying apart if they smashed into each other. What else to say about that? What else to say? Perhaps that's about all there is to say on the topic. So yes, we're still very water themed, very beach and boardwalk themed, and we got these under here, under here. There's our first bumper car. And yeah, we're just sort of chugging along here. We're just sort of chugging along in terms of continuing to get it all slowly set up. But it's a nice change of pace to actually be ordering those Lego parts and getting them underway, rather than, you know, constantly saying, I'm going to do, but will he ever do? It's very, very satisfying when parts finally arrive and you actually start putting them in place. It's very, very satisfying to kind of finish everything out. Now, here we're going to make the bumper car arena. And this is going to be not a large enough adjustment for me to really worry about the length of the boardwalk. Also, this camera is driving me crazy. This is... sometimes these get... Let's see, which one is it? It's cam aerial. Sometimes these get... they get bumped, and I lose their zoom, which is really supposed to be a little bit more like this. There we go. Across all the places that it appears. So we're going to pretty much build these bumper cars like as they are. And then the entrance will be going forward. So let's see what they got here. This all looks like it stayed pretty stable. Pretty stable. Here's our entrance. Right here. And then we have some accoutrements to the side. It looks like loudspeakers, almost kind of like if you've ever visited a skating rink and, you know, they had nice music playing. That's a very Chicago experience. In this case, it looks like the bumper cars has got some bump-in music for you to jam to. We're making a railing here so that you don't bump your friend off into the... Actually, as far as Lego City safety hazards go, this one isn't half bad. You're either bumping onto the boardwalk streets, which could be worse, or perhaps onto the beach, but you're not like bumping somebody like out into traffic or into mechanical contraptions or anything. Here's our gate. Classic car or airplane door here. And then the last little bits of our railing. Didn't I just see that last white cone? I thought I did. Now that might be something that's fallen out of the set over time. But it's a very easy to replace piece, so we'll keep in mind that we need to grab a white cone when we're done with this. I usually try to take those notes a little bit more quickly, but again, this stream is so small in scope that I'm not too worried about it. Now, we're making these loudspeakers. We were talking about bump into the music here. So a white cone. We also need a 1x2 little black slopey brick. That'll be pretty easy to figure out. Not too worried about them either way, though. And that was it. That's pretty much the whole bumper cars assembly right here. Now, we need to think critically for a moment, because there's not really a boardwalk section here. You pretty much just walk straight through the bumper car zone into the bumper cars, and I need to get ready for the next one. So this is perfect. This can sit right on top of the actual, what do you call it? The road plate, which is going to be, in this case, so three plates high, or one stud high. So this is actually going to be about this high on the city. It's already going to be elevated by an entire brick. And beneath it, or I guess I could rest this right here. Yeah, let's do it like that. Make it a step. Set this 2x4 lime plate off to the side. And now it'll be like this, and that front step will rest on the road plate, which makes it actually a lot easier and a lot cheaper to do this underneath here, because compared to other sets like that, like this guy over here, where we have to actually get plates to rest them on, in this case, we just rest it on bricks and studs and things, which is going to be a lot easier. Yeah, I want this to rest right on top of the boardwalk, so it's kind of like a step right up type of situation. Although, where's the ticket counter going to be? What I'm trying to figure out is if I can fit this entire set on a 16x24 profile, and I'm actually suspicious that that might not be possible. But again, let's keep working on the swing, then we'll come back to that thought here. So we're going to start by building the set as it is, and then we'll do at least a little bit of the modification live here on stream and figure out what's in the realm of the possible, as they say. A lot of flowers here. Here's one of the pieces we thought we might be missing, so that's good. But just as I pulled that up, now I'm looking for a 1x2 black slope brick, and I'm not seeing one. Get this in here. Making an educated guess that this is going to go like so. My educated guess is incorrect. Which happens. Now we've got this central pad that goes below the swing with a bunch of stray foliage on it. I guess because it's cool and shaded off from the hot sun, unlike perhaps the rest of the fairgrounds would be. I mean, this is one of those situations where it doesn't super duper matter where we're going to place all these little flowers. Now these are some potted plants. So this swing is on a nice little secluded park area, which would be cute, except we're missing some more of those flowers. Now, these are the old bracelet-style flowers. They're not the modern LEGO Minecraft-style flowers, which is a little bit of a pity because those are now a finite resource. They're not being produced anymore. But they are pieces that at one point had extra parts status, so they're pretty numerous regardless. Is this a 2x? Am I doing this 2 times, whatever I'm about to do? Can't tell. No, apparently not. This goes over here, and that goes like so. Again, I'm going to make an educated guess, but I think it's going to be pretty effectively educated this time. Go over here, and it looks like we're pretty much correct. Yep. Now they'd have us make the swing, but the swing, of course, is pretty much already constructed for us, which is very nice. So here's that. A lot of Technic components on the inside to give it some movability. This is actually a flexible hose up here as the backrest for up to 3 Lego mini dolls. And then a bar. So this is actually not a backrest, this is the bar that locks you in place, which is actually a pretty realistic detail for this kind of swing ride. So I'm actually pretty pleased about that's the inclusion of that. Here we've got these, and then these wheels are going to turn themselves like so. I am sensing that the Technic component is mostly intact here. Mostly, but not completely. We need to get this up there. And that's going to be about correct. Although it does feel like it's a little bit under strain. Kind of interesting. Why would this be under strain? I think it is a little under strain. That's fascinating. Possibly the axle itself is actually bent until you connect it to the rest of the build, which is not something you see all the time in LEGO. They tend to avoid such usage. But then we simply connect this up here, and it's good to go. And I can see already how this is going to work, but I'll hold off to not spoil it for you guys quite yet until we attach this last little section here, using up the last few of our parts. Plop this down, connect, place this, and we should have had a, there's another 2 pieces there that have separated from us over time. Now, these may not have been a case of the seller not sending me. Hey there, Morinor. More and more. It's great to have you on board. This may not actually be a case of the seller not sending us every part. This may be, as I said, we saw the poor condition of that Lego bag that we had, and it's possible it just was ripped, and just like that piece of cotton candy fell through, that more of this may have fallen through as well. So why am I posting in Pokopia here? Let's get that fixed. That's kind of funny. Update that. So this is how the set mechanism works. Again, it's a little annoying without my knob there. Let's go ahead and switch over to POV and aerial here this way. So this is a cool set because it's not just a simple swing like you might see on a playground. It's as you start to move this around, the gears are actually going to rotate the seat itself too. So when you get to the zenith, your ride people have come back to the top, and then they're all over. It's kind of cool. It's a little bit more complex than it looks. And again, this is actually a very realistic fairground ride. So kudos here. You get this set called Bumper Cars, and you think that it's going to be all about just the bumper car build. But actually then you have this neat swing at the end here too. So that's pretty captivating there. So like I said, our next challenge, and we'll switch back over to the primarily aerial view, is the intention was to fit this on a 16 by 24 depth rather than 16 by 32. Now, the first question is, if this is close to the bumper cars, can it even take off the ground? And I think the answer here is, hold on, if I were to move the speakers around a little bit, if I were to play around with this a little bit, at this distance, it would clear. At this distance, it clears, but if I start to move it any closer, if I move this 4 more studs close, it's not going to clear anymore, unless I elevate it again, which is going to be fairly straightforward to do. But if I do that, then I've also lost my ability to put a ticket booth in place here. So I'm in a bit of a pickle, because it's kind of looking like I won't be able to set this to just a 16 width as I wanted, but instead might need to do something like this, where it's actually a 32 width. And that's okay, because then we can put this ticket counter up. Maybe we can have the bumper cars sitting back here and ready to go. We can place our cotton candy. And suddenly this looks like not a terrible use of the limited real estate on our boardwalk area. So I don't hate that. But before we marry with it, before we commit to it completely, let's go ahead and pack this all briefly up. And let's move over to the second set that we were taking a look at today. One moment here, so I will be right back. And we're back. And yeah, more. I actually, I've been doing these Lego streams basically every Sunday. And I imagine, oh, I need my box cutter too. Actually realizing that my box cutter is in a place that's going to be super annoying to manifest. But this next set, 4714, the carousel ride, does not meet our criteria for saving Lego boxes and instructions. It was not a retail release, but it's still pretty, it was a pretty widely available type of thing that hasn't really changed its value too much. So again, this is even smaller than the Friends set that we just built. This is just 232 pieces. We would expect this to take us about 15 minutes. So we'll pop open the instructions here and get this laid out. Yeah, so I stream Lego every Sunday, usually from about noon or 1 to 5 Eastern. You can see I'm coming in a little bit late here. I've had an unusual schedule this whole weekend. But the basic idea is it's pretty good. Pretty good. It's I enjoy doing this, and I love when folks kind of come on, depending on what I'm building on the given day. All kinds of different folks like to, this is gonna have stickers, come on. All kinds of folks like to drop in and, share their thoughts about what it is that I'm doing. Now, unlike the last one, so again, the Boardwalk, we operate within 16 wide by 24 studs deep. Which is can be kind of annoying when we have a set like that we have a set a little bit like the bumper cars one. It can be pretty tricky if its boundaries exceed the boundaries that you've got. But this is going to be really easy. It gets a straight up 16 by 16. It'll be super easy for us. Yeah, so I do know there's like the Lego build streams category here over on the Twitch side. What I've noticed is that, I kind of like when people randomly find me through different tags that I put in. That's a strategy I like to use over on my Instagram, which let me put that in the chat as well. Instagram is going to be kuat.brick.yards on IG. I kind of, I'm not really doing anything special. Again, I have some projects that are sort of deeper in the works, like when I talk about major landscaping projects for this Imperial Fortress. And those are kind of neat, and I can imagine using the category of Lego build streams to go ahead and build that. But I'm not really, yes, I'm technically working with Lego here, but I don't know that I'm doing anything particularly special. So most of the time right now, as I'm just working through this backlog of sets, I actually tend to just use the tag just chatting, because that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm talking about what I'm doing. I'm not being as social as some folks that are here. Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, and I have had some folks join. And, you know, then it's nice. We get to swap and find each other on IG and other places as well. So it's kind of 50-50. It basically depends on how long I'm going to be streaming, how interesting and also intensive the project is. We just kind of come here on Sundays and we just kind of hang on out. Yeah. And I mentioned from time to time, tends to bury people. Oh, I'm sure. I can only imagine. Tell you what, let's flip it over for today. That's the nice part, is I can always flip it over. Lego build streams. Lego and brick building. We got 5.8K people following that. You never know. The other thing is I don't, you know, I kind of have a bit of a diverse audience, because like a lot of folks, Lego isn't the only thing I stream. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we stream different video games as well. And so I enjoy seeing folks cross-pollinate between the categories too. Not really a lot of overlap in the subject matter, but it's just fun to be out here. It's a good time to be out here. I've got a pretty nice setup, actually. I've really enjoyed the work that we've been able to put into getting this space flexible for all kinds of different streaming, whether that be anything else off of my computer, be sort of like the Nintendo Switch, as we've been streaming Pokemon Pokopia on Wednesdays, although next Wednesday will be the last day for quite a long time that we're on that game, as we move on to another one. And then, of course, obviously, we have this beautiful, thank you. I appreciate the comments on it for the IG account. I really like doing that. So it's kind of just a flow through the week, you know? And one of the things I do on Mondays is, if I've sort of finished a build, I don't think that I have any content coming out of this small stream today, but I like talking about what I've been doing. I think it's pretty enjoyable. And there are some custom builds or rarer builds on there that folks have enjoyed, for sure. So yeah, always nice to be part of a community. And also always nice to welcome new people in, which is why I like to switch it up between the different options. We took a pretty detailed look at the fairground type sets and roller coaster type sets that Lego's produced over the years last Sunday. And we were talking about, this is actually going to be my first true carousel or traditional carousel, but there's also the high swinging carousel style amusement park ride, and Lego has done a few of those, usually like UFO themed. We did build one of those a long time ago, so the city does include one. That's of course 32 wide, because you've got chairs spinning around all over. Lego Friends has also played around in that space, but I think we went with a Lego Creator 3-in-1 top-down carousel ride, or spinning carousel ride, which I feel like spinning carousel is a strange name for that particular type of amusement park ride, given that technically all carousels spin. This one will be spinning, but it doesn't like spin you out though, so I guess it's a little different. But yeah, no, it's good to have you on board with us today. It can be tricky to always make time, make sure to be in a particular space at a particular time. It's also very enjoyable. Get a banana peel here going in the trash can. This is funny. This piece just came out, or had just come out at the time that was in this set. Now we've got a couple of different banana peels coming out of the Lego Super Mario Kart theme. Here we've got actually a little lamppost and a bluebird, along with some extra pieces. I have been into Lego for a long time. I've been collecting Lego sets since probably around the time the original Lego Star Wars wave came out in 99. And I've got a small scattering of sets from the about 10, 15 years prior to there. So like I showed my classic and modern Lego Blacktron collection over on the IG side. And then probably the jewel of the collection, of course, the airport monorail set, which I've really enjoyed laying out into my downtown Lego City area. Like a lot of folks, I did have a bit of a dark ages, took a little bit of a break between 2012 and 2016. And the set and theme, which are different that got me back into Lego. The set was Lego Star Wars' Gozanti class cruiser, which is a cool Star Wars ship, but it came with 4 little TIE fighters that attached to the bottom of the ship, and I was just like, this is just super neat. And then at the same time, in late 2016, early 2017, Lego Minecraft had begun as a theme, or had evolved from a non-minifigure scale theme to a minifigure scale theme. And something about the way that Lego Minecraft was presented just really reawakened, or perhaps newly awakened, my interest in maintaining a Lego city that was a city, a cohesive idea. So part of how I go about my Lego collecting that I like to talk about on the streams here is sort of 2 things. First of all, I have close to 0 Lego sets that are for display. I have a few large, if you exclude some of the large Star Wars ships that I have, although I don't collect Lego Star Wars Ultimate Collector Series, which is, again, a little unusual, but I consider those to be more of display sets. So no Lego plants, helmets, brickheads. I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 exceptions to that in the collection. I did pick up the really neat Lego Egyptian pyramid set that just retired last year, but that's because I'm going to use that in the distance for a forced perspective build. So technically, and then related to that concept, similarly, everything is one large city. So you have residential areas, you have downtown areas with different uptown, midtown, downtown connected by rails. You have landscaping going out east into the desert and west into the forest, and everything is sort of connected. And if I can't find a way to incorporate a set or incorporate a theme into the larger vision of the city, I just kind of tend to not really go for it. Let's gotta line this up a little bit, which creates some interesting wrinkles. So, for example, the one Lego thing that I would say I actually just straight up collect, they make it, I buy it, is those minifigure scale Lego Minecraft sets, since that's what got me back in. But I've gone back and forth after all this time on how to actually incorporate them into the city. Some things are obvious, like there's the beautiful set The Mountain, which I'll use as mountains in the distance, and the really, really classic Lego Minecraft Village. This is, now we're building the actual the carousel cars here, by the way. And that's easy because that can just be one of many little villages out in the deep forest, the deep residential areas. But in terms of the overall placement of those Lego Minecraft, it's a little bit of a challenge, actually, that I'll have to work through at some point. But the big idea, generally speaking, nothing is for display. Everything is for the idea of the city itself. And I've enjoyed that as a building philosophy quite a lot. So yeah, that's a little bit of what got me back in, how I've gone about it. And I'm actually kind of grateful as LEGO moves more and more in the direction of a lot of adults welcome, a lot of display-oriented sets, because there are now starting to be entire themes that I can just completely ignore and spend my finances, but also perhaps even more importantly, the available display space for the city, which is about 10 feet cubed, or 3 meters cubed, which is a lot, on consistent, stretches out how long I'll be able to do that. So, what about you? You're a builder, a collector, part of the community. What kind of compels you in the LEGO space? Make this swan carousel, kind of a classic choice, alongside things like lions and tigers. Let's see. Yeah, that's the other part of it, though. We built up quite a backlog as I was preparing to move earlier this year. I moved right around the time of April Fools, and then also started training a new cat, which has been a lovely, delightful adventure. What are we making here? A boat? Another boat? An animal? Maybe like a whale? But we really want to tackle that backlog. I want my living space to be my living space, and my Lego space to be my Lego space, in as much as possible, at least. Yeah, it looks like this is a little whale, and now we're going to go ahead and add his tail, splashing the water, and a little water spout made using a Lego gem, which is a cute little idea, coming up from his whale blowhole. And add him down here. And then our last build, we've got a boat, we've got an animal, we've got a whale, and now it looks like we're going to make a car, perhaps. A race car, I think. Again, a kind of classic thing that you would imagine kids getting onto. Now, I will say, I do think that circus animals are a very popular carousel theme. And I might have liked to see a few more circus animals, lions and tigers and that sort of thing. I think this is a fire truck, actually. Bunch of extra pieces from this bag. Yep, pretty simple little build here. And now we get to the third part. We'll actually build up to the top, the roof of the carousel. Which, like I said, just 200 pieces, so this is a pretty quick and straightforward build here. We get the mother, the minifigure that's probably the mother of these two children, or perhaps the ticket attendant. I think might be the ticket attendant here. Am I going to get her Lego head? Did I just throw it away in the bag there? No, it rolled off. A pretty standard face, but I don't know that I've seen this torso print before. Looks like she's maybe got like a... I don't know, a bandolier or something underneath her jacket there. Put her in the back. And then we'll start building up this top piece from the bottom up, apparently. And this is going to be pretty quick here. And now we're using some sideways build technique to create the carousel signs, the images on top, and I think that's pretty neat. Sometimes also in traditional carousels, you'll see extra ride poles that are, like maybe you have a lion ride and a tiger ride, and then you have a bear that's not one you can sit on, but he's still going around the roller coaster, the carousel with you, which is kind of neat. These gold leaves are nice here because I can use them to align the sideways bricks a little bit more effectively. Here's our central carousel piece, and perhaps one of the new or only new pieces in this set. can go on top of the ride for a very beautiful top here. And then we connect these two sections together. And now we can spin it from the top or the bottom. And it has a pretty convincing, compelling carousel action. It's a little thing, but it does work. Now I'll probably recenter this again because I don't need this side gear to be showing as much. I'll move this a little bit to the side so that I can keep this set as strictly on as possible. Now here's the unfun part. We get to put these stickers on. And it looks like the stickers are actually just advertising the very animals or objects that are present. So first one up is we've got the boat. So we'll rotate over to the boat. The pirate ship, perhaps. And we just complained about the sticker application work that had been used in that Lego Friends purchase. So I guess we better be pretty precise here with our own stickering so as not to be too hypocritical. We need the whale. And last but not least, maybe the sticker will illuminate what kind of car this is. And yeah, in the sticker, it looks a little bit more like a fire truck, but still very, very stylized. Very, very juniorized. Which is interesting, given I wouldn't say that this build itself is very juniorized, nor was it widely available for junior building, since it was from the Lego web store, Lego Points store, whatever you want to call it. So there's our 4 stickers, and finally we'll make the casa, the ticket booth. And we'll finally get an answer as to that woman is perhaps the mother, or perhaps an employee of the ticket booth. Of course, we can always make our own interpretation, but sometimes you're curious. And the ticket booth sticker is going to say carousel. Which I've lined up pretty nicely here. Where does it go? And where do they place the minifigures? So we're using this last unoccupied space over here. And I'm increasingly suspicious. Indeed, this is the ticket seller. And the children are just visiting her unsupervised. Which I'd say a carousel is a relatively unsafe place for an unsupervised child, but what can you do? Now she's actually got a seat to sit in, which is relatively nice. This child is trying to pay, but they're not really tall enough. There we go. And that's this build here. And that's going to be pretty straightforward. Probably want to keep open the instructions for the carousel ride so I can get those few parts that we're missing. Then we'll come over here. Last but not least for today, we talked about this Lego set over here, Lego Disney Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy's Fairground Fun. This one is only 184 parts. This is a juniorized 4+ set. And again, this does look like it was an eBay purchase, secondhand, which seems surprising given this was a very recent set, but maybe I just found a really convincing price or something. I don't know. Do not recall. This is super juniorized. It's only going to have a few builds. Now, I talked about purchasing this particular set for its minifigures. I don't exactly know where, if anywhere, those minifigures are going to go within my city. So we'll set them aside. And then we talked about me having some internal debate. I'll just put this over to the side here. Look at this, 184 pieces, basically nothing. Now in this case, what if there were any stickers, they've been applied for us. They might have been printed though, since this is a 4+ set. So once again, we're going to build this as instructed, and then we may have some. This is set this is set 10778. Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy's Fairground. Pop open the instructions, which this is very much a Lego build together set. So amusingly enough, the instructions are not only quite juniorized, but they're also split up into 3 segments. Again, this is going to be partly constructed, so we imagine the build is going to go pretty quickly. And although this is a small build, we can see that there's actually quite a lot of play potential, and because the parts are so large, the space profile of the set is going to be large too. And we'll be able to skip every other piece of instructions here because it's juniorized instructions. So we'll pop this open, get Mickey Mouse back there. Now his legs are feeling a little bit loose to me. This might be a slightly well-played minifigure. Unclear what kind of collector had this set before. This set is actually a little sticky and is gonna need to be washed, so that's okay. Usually I've opened these up once or twice before checking on them, but sometimes you get something and it just sits around for a long time. So I'll keep that in mind, that these parts are gonna go get a bath at some point in the future. But they don't seem to be particularly egregious, so that's all right. And then luckily this was not a stickered set from what we can see now. It does look like this is not a set that was intended to be built in the air. It's made for little hands to sit down. Set this like so. And probably just go ahead and preemptively connect all of that up. Making some guesses about where things are going to go. Very sticky. Not quite sure what's happening there. Looks like we need some flags to go on the side here. So what I'm wondering about this set, I just talked about the British fortress, and I'm kind of wondering if I can actually repurpose the parts for this set, minus its Mickey Mouse decor. You know, do things like flip around these panels with the Mickey Mouse decor and stuff, and actually use this as the ticket booth and entrance for visiting that fort, which is, you know, again, I talked about the idea of copying some of what I've seen in like Puerto Rico before. I actually think that we could be onto something there as an idea. Now, I'm not going to necessarily solve that on stream today, but that's the kind of thing where if that's what we're going to go with, we'll make sure to get that up at some point in the future. Now, next up, we have some roller coaster track here. Again, this is going to take up a pretty large space profile, but while we could use this as a kiddie ride, I think that this is actually going to be something that we're just going to sort of make disappear rather than keeping its integrity within the city. Because the value versus the space profile, the math doesn't quite add up for us, and that's okay. So we'll plop that back here. And then we make the bumper cars, which are going to be identical. Set those aside. And that's the first of 3 instruction bags. Very laborious here. Then we get to the second, and it looks like we're building this sort of windmill type of thing. First, we'll build Minnie Mouse, who's got a little jumper. And a ticket. We talked about ticket booths. So we might be onto something in terms of being able to repurpose the set here. Here's a little cashier, a cash register to get in. Put that to the side. And then we start making, I don't know what. It's just kind of this one, where is it? It's really only this piece back here, the wide juniorized base plate, that was actually pretty sticky, which implies to me that this isn't like gunk or anything. It's the kind of stickiness that comes when dust accumulates in a certain way. So not quite as nasty. A little bit more annoying, though, is that kind of grime. It's a little bit more like cooking grease. It can be kind of hard to remove sometimes, wet dust that is settled in a particular way. But at least I'm not, dealing with somebody's secondhand grossness particularly. So that's fine by me. And now I think we're starting to make, what is this, the spinning blades of the windmill or the chair ride here? I think yes. There we go. Again, feeling grateful that we do not have any stickered parts in this set on account of it being juniorized, although we do have some more Disney Mickey Mouse branding that will be hiding away within the interior of the set. This is kind of cute, though, this little Mickey Mouse piece. I imagine this is something that people could have used in some relatively interesting own creations. We'll find out at some point. Great spin on the windmill there, though. I'll give them that. And then we make the actual seats that go in this. So I guess you would call this sort of like again, like a Ferris wheel, but just it's only a two-seater Ferris wheel. This is exactly the kind of thing that you would see in a kiddie section of an amusement park. And again, we may actually be able to tie this together. Now, in the boardwalk and beach in front of that British fortress, and especially once we add Coconut Cape, it's pretty wide. We're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe as much as 4.5 or 5 32 wide sections. So there's certainly going to be a time and place to actually incorporate a little bit of a juniorized land, put a bunch of Lego kids there, and maybe even do a little bit more with it. So feeling like actually upon building, this may be something that is not as unreasonable of an incorporation as we initially feared. So we'll go on from there. But now quickly on to the last bag, starting with our minifigure for the Goof himself, who is holding a balloon. Not this pole, whatever that was for. Great minifigure there. You can't see his face. Let's move it like so. There he is. Classic, very recognizable, of course. Interestingly enough, the window of this little bar cart here was put in backwards, so I can't open that up. I'll have to grab a toothpick to get it open. And this is where it looks like ice cream was stored at some point inside the carts. Ice cream, hot dogs, a little parasol there, some wheels, and the Goof. And then on to the last little section of the build here. Again, we only actually need to go through every other step of the instructions, which is something easy to forget as I'm actually going through it here. And this is the test of strength. Now, I actually have a nicer test of strength that we looked at last week. It was actually kind of similar to our carousel ride, was a Lego exclusive, a sort of gift with purchase type thing at some point or another. Here is our made using some astromech related parts. Kind of looks like Chopper's been chopped up there. So this one does actually work, and frankly, this one might work better than the one that we have from a more expensive, more exclusive set. So that's actually rather interesting, all things considered. There's the top. And then I guess you get a big old Lego hammer that you can use. Almost looks like the Amy's hammer from Sonic. It's actually harder for me to activate this test of strength with the hammer, whereas with my finger, I can raise it all the way to the top and send it crashing back down. We did get a brick separator with this set, and then it looks like a few of the extra pieces were included, which includes another ticket and another Lego $100 bill. I'm thinking that this right here, this 2x2 square circle piece, was probably not an extra piece. Then there's this little pink cupcake, and I don't know whether that was a set part at all, but we'll go ahead. We'll definitely take it. So as we finish this up, we should have a page that lists all the parts, even though this is a junior set. And we do, telling us that actually there were only 2 of these, so this is not a set part, that's a fresh extra, and that there was no pink. There is a pink cupcake in this set. Never mind. I stand corrected. Where on earth did it go? I don't know. Maybe Minnie wants not. Oh, it's the edge of Mickey's ice cream cone from the very beginning. So this was an original extra piece. So Folks, as I switch over to, again, the POV here. So today we quickly, with a lot of rambling explanation, banged out a couple of sub 500 piece Lego fairground sets. We have this Mickey and Minnie's fairground, which most importantly for us included the minifigures. Let me stand back up here. Minnie and Mickey in some cute outfits. Plus the ticket booth and a lot of sort of kiddie park versions of amusement park rides that we already have in bigger scale in the city that frankly upon building we think are actually going to be a pretty nice addition, especially given 4 or 5 base plates in front of our historical Puerto Rican fortress. I think we have more than enough place to incorporate this, although there will be some significant extra parts addition. The carousel, our medium-sized set here today, well, medium-small, I should say, neatly already fitting on one 16 by 16 base plate that we can modify just a little bit, but this is going to go really neatly into the boardwalk area with a little bit of space in front and is very self-contained. And then finally over here, and now I think I'm beginning to see my answer here. We can make this a joint ticket booth. And then we have the bumper cars and the very interesting swinging carousel ride thingy here. I have to move it like so. Which we're going to shrink over to a 8 by 16 base plate, plop this down below, and place it behind the bumper cars. So what it's ultimately going to look like is going to be something like, let's switch back over to aerial, something like this. And then we'll put our carousel back like so, put a ticket booth right here, and this way we're still only taking up 2 16 wide sections of our boardwalk space, which is rather precious in front of the fortress. That's going to be it for today. Just really wanted to go ahead with those builds while I was thinking so deeply about the beach and the boardwalk. Again, this is a little bit of a late stream for us. Usually we're on a little bit earlier, significantly earlier on a Sunday, but we are here. We do plan to be here pretty much every Sunday for the next 19 weeks or so, and then continuing well into 2027, where instead of building sets through the backlog, we get to start working on some really, really interesting projects. So thanks for everybody who popped by today. Thanks to everybody on Twitch or YouTube who's going to join later and check this all out. And if you were somebody who checked out IG while we were on here, hey, give me a follow. I'll follow you back. I always think it's fun. More and more thanks in particular for hanging out and giving some stray thoughts here. Maybe see you guys next Sunday. We'll catch you around.